All right, today's podcast, I've got Julie Bowser with me, and she's actually one of the real estate agents on the Rob Vano team.
Absolutely.
And so glad you're here today, Julie. And I'm going to talk about an interesting subject on this podcast because, I have a team of agents and, operating as a team. And, and I think in this podcast, it's great for if you're someone that's first of all thinking of buying a home or selling a home and wondering, what are the benefits of a team versus maybe even hiring an individual agent. Because I think there's pros and cons, right?
Oh, for sure.
We're going to try to identify some of those pros and cons in this video. And then even if you're an agent and you're a solo agent and you're considering, going on a team, this will also be a good podcast for you to make a decision as to whether you'd like to stay a solo agent or maybe you'd consider being part of a team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Julie is a great case study because she's very, very vocal about the things that work and the things that don't work.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't hold back a whole lot.
No. But that is actually, I would say that really is a benefit to a team because you're constantly getting feedback. Like as an individual agent, it's just you. So, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, but when you're a team, and if you're out doing something and one of your team members says, I don't think this is working, you're going to get that feedback, especially from you, Julie.
Yeah, I'm happy to give it.
More than happy. So this is a good chance to ask you, what was maybe some of the reasons that you decided you wanted to be part of a team?
I was sick of fighting the staying on top of lead generation, staying on top of new technology, finding the new algorithms, having to try myself to stay ahead of every process was becoming extremely draining.
Right. There's a lot of moving parts, right?
There's a ton of moving parts.
Yeah. And of course, and the most important thing, as we know, is like if we're working with a client, the client has expectations. If you're a seller, you obviously have expectations. I want my house sold. I want to get the most money for it in the least amount of time, right? Mm-hmm. And the buyer on the flip side has expectations. They want you to be available when a property comes on the market. If it's something that meets their criteria, they want to go and see it right away. Inside of those two very important tasks, you're going to be writing up offers, negotiating contracts to service the client. All time consuming. Yeah. Then, of course, if you're representing a buyer, you have inspections. You got to be there for the inspection. All of this is just making sure the clients are serviced, which is why we're in this business.
Right.
But
there's a lot of background.
And I don't know that the average person really understands all of the things that we do behind the scenes. And that's what you touched on. I mean, algorithms, the marketing, the new technology, all of the paperwork that has to get put into the brokerage properly, effectively.
And me, like a lot of realtors, I love the clients. I love to get out there and actually help my clients to find their new home or to sell their home. I love being in front of the people. I hate paperwork.
Right.
There's no beating around the bush. It is the thing that drains me most.
Right.
But it's incredibly important, and it's incredibly important to have it done properly. Well, and I know that.
I can tell you from owning a brokerage for a long time, the agents that are actually going to do the best job for you, if you're a buyer or a seller, are the agents that are not good at paperwork. And of course, the seller might be thinking, that seems kind of weird. Isn't paperwork a big part of real estate? Well, of course it is. And make no mistake about it, it has to be done correctly. And they do it correctly. They just don't like doing it.
A lot of us also hire people who are extremely good at it to help us do it correctly. So right. When you know where your weaknesses are, a lot of us are able to make sure that we have people in place to help us. So realistically, as a single agent, you end up hiring your own team of people, whether it be assistants or photographers, whatever it happens to be. As a single agent, you're still hiring out people and building a team. It's just when you're on a team, you have all these incredible resources that help you throughout the process. I don't know where I would be right now without Emma, without Alyssa, without Morgan. It's insane how much I count on all these people who work with us just to make everything run smoothly so that I can do my job better.
Right. Totally makes sense. And by the way, those are our assistants. We in our team, we have 4 full-time assistants that help us with all of the moving parts. And so talking about a team, the interesting thing about it is like when we go to sell properties, our fee structure is very competitive with the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so you would find that our fee structure, if you were interviewing an individual agent, our fee structure is probably very similar, if not the same.
Yeah.
And so as a result, you have an entire team, meaning 4 assistants that help you, because my idea or my philosophy behind this too is we want the agents on our team doing what they do best, and that is to be with clients. That you're in a position where when that house does come on the market, you're not bogged down with something else. You can actually get out there and show them the house.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a seller, a lot of sellers don't think about this, but offers can come in at any given time.
They sure can. And usually it's at 9 o'clock at night.
Or I've actually seen this happen where a real estate agent is showing property to another buyer while they're negotiating an offer,
mm-hmm.
like literally standing outside the house with their client waiting for them, negotiating an offer on their other listing. I can't possibly imagine that that's going to be an effective negotiation.
No, I don't think so at all.
And yet the negotiation is a really big part of this business. And so we need to be focused on whatever we're doing. So when we're with a client, we need to be focused. Or if we're handling a negotiation, we need to be focused. And that's the beautiful thing about a team is that, Julie, you could always say, hey, Rob, you know what? I have a client in from Toronto. I got an offer on my listing. Can you help me out? And having a team, you can step in. You've got support.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
Backup, right? So that's a big part of, what also makes the team work. So that I think we've highlighted a lot of the pros of being on a team. Are there any cons?
Oh, for sure there's cons to being on a team.
Right. So what do you think some of the cons are?
I mean, when you're on a team, it's not, you have to be in a team mentality. It is not about you. You have to think of how everything on the team runs. So, but you do have to pay for that.
Right.
So the biggest con probably for being on a team is always when you look at a split.
Right.
I mean, talking to hundreds of agents, everyone asks me all the time, well, you're on a team, so you have to pay a split.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people pay a split to their brokerage anyway, or they have to pay for a lot of things. So a lot of people don't realize that when you're on a team, yes, I pay a split, absolutely. But the split that I pays for a lot of those things that I don't like to deal with. So
that's right.
So those 4 assistants and, a lot of that back end marketing, it's done.
Because that is usually the biggest con I hear is, well, I don't want to share my commission. I want the whole commission. But you're right, and I guess that is a con. I mean, you're giving up a percentage, whatever that percentage might be. I think every team's a little different. That's a negotiable thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not uncommon. Like if your team leader gives you a qualified lead, it's not uncommon to pay your team leader 50% of the commission will go to the team leader, and that also covers all the cost of the team and the marketing. But that I see that for sure is a con for some people, and that's why a team isn't for everyone.
But also when you look at a lot of brokerages do a 80-20 split.
Yeah.
And then say you get a referral from another agent. an agent who doesn't deal in a certain type of real estate or an agent who doesn't have the time, whatever it happens to be, you're going to have to pay a referral fee. Usually that's 25% or so. So if you're paying, or if you happen to get a lead from a moving company, like a relocation companies charge 30 to 40% for their lead. So when you pay your 20% split plus your 25% out to another realtor for theirs, it works out about the same when you're paying for all these leads, and then on top of that, you're still paying for all your fees on top of that. So it depends. If you're getting a lead from a referral, you have to think of that the same way as getting a lead from your team lead sometimes. If I'm getting a referral from someone or if I'm getting a lead from you, when you work out all the costs behind it, it probably costs me less to get a lead from you than it would for me to do everything on my own and take a referral off of it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really looked at it that way, but you may be right. You know, because it just goes back to what we said at the beginning of this podcast. You know, there's a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of expectations. There's a lot of expectations now on an individual realtor more than they've ever been. And the expectations are also coming from our clients. You know, let's just even talk about marketing. If I'm selling my home, do I not want the best marketing?
Oh, 100%. You want everything out there.
Right. I hear this feedback sometimes. Well, I don't want the realtor that just puts it on MLS. And it's kind of sad when I hear that, because, you know, our MLS system is actually a very powerful marketing tool. And even though every realtor has it, but it is a very, very powerful marketing tool. But there are people that don't necessarily just go to MLS. There are many buyers out there and sellers that don't necessarily go there. They go to other websites. They look at social media. We look at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
So marketing is it's big. I mean, when I started this business, I'm kind of dating myself, but we were doing newspaper ads. That was simple.
I've never done that.
Yeah. They were simple. It's a simple time. But, you know, now we have all these different platforms. We have YouTube platform. We have Instagram platform. We have Facebook platform. We have TikTok platform. We have websites. We have Google. These platforms are what people use every day. And here's the thing. They're more expensive every single year to use these platforms. And you need to have a strategy on how you actually do it. And that is becoming more and more difficult for an individual agent.
And one of the big things that I can definitely talk to on that is that I used to do Google ads as a single agent myself. And I could get my ads for $8 a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it was slightly less depending on the community. Sometimes it was more. Then it hit $20 a lead. Then it was hitting 30 or 40. But if you don't, like, as a single agent, I would have this low budget, and a low budget would never even put me at the top of Google.
Right.
Because if you can only put, let's say, $500 into marketing for leads on Google, a $500 budget isn't going to go far. Whereas a team might be putting $5,000-$10,000 into leads a month, even $2,500. That's going to put you a lot higher on Google than a single agent. So these teams are taking over those top 5 spots in Google, those coveted first page that I could never hit as a solo agent just because I didn't want to put that much money into it myself. So when it's a team and everything's being spread, it gives you a lot more power on those Facebook, on Google, TikTok. It gets you higher up in those algorithms to actually get that coveted first page spot that all of us agents are trying to get.
No question about it. As I said, these platforms are very competitive because in our industry, we know that that's where the buyers and sellers gather, especially the buyers. But that's where they gather to get information. We all go to these platforms because it's easy and we can just do it on our phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the world we live in to this day. So because it's so competitive, well, Google, they're great at extracting more and more money because they go, hey, look at all this competitiveness in real estate. We'll just keep upping the cost, and that's why the cost has just risen so much. So, so again, that's part of the idea of a team is that working together and working in unison together and being larger, you can put more dollars into that system. So it gives you a much bigger marketing net out in the ocean, if you will, if you can use that kind of an analogy. But then of course we can give the service that we also expect. So I mean, I might be biased, but I personally think maybe the only con to a team is that there is some commission sharing. You brought up a good point. Even that may be turning a con into a pro, just because of all the stuff you get for the cost of it. But beyond that, I can't see really much cons because you got the support, the help, the paperwork's looked after, your marketing is looked after, you're getting leads as well. You're spending most of your time working with clients. You have all that ability to, when these new technologies come out, the team pretty well does a deep dive into it for you.
Yeah. And realistically, when I go on holidays, when I have appointments or have something happen in my family, if I'm sick, the team will go and show a house for me. The team will be able to keep my business running even when I'm not able to, because we pick up for each other and we all work together. You know, I've opened doors and done possessions for other agents. I've shown houses for other agents with their clients. I'm happy to do that. They're happy to do it for me. We have a great group of people and we actually care about each other. And we all are here to work together. So that's a lot different than being a solo agent, because if you're sick, sometimes you have to hunt around, find one of your real estate friends, pay someone to show houses. Nothing I hated more than having to pay, $200-$300 for someone to go and show 2 condos to a client.
Yeah.
That client may or may not buy, but no matter what, I'm paying an agent to go and open doors.
So this might be a rhetorical question, but are you a lot more confident when you meet with a new client, whether they're a buyer or a seller, that you can deliver and meet their expectations on this team than before?
I mean, I'm an excellent agent, Rob. But yeah, I have so much support, and I know that I can meet all of my clients' needs without a doubt. And I think that with some of the things that even we're about to bring forward with our team, that I think we're just gonna blow our clients' minds.
Right.
Like what we're able to do now, all the things I can offer, all the things that I could never offer before, the things that I can offer now on the team, it's difficult for anyone to say no at this point because it's so good.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that we do offer. A couple of examples, your home sold guaranteed, or we'll buy it, trade up and we'll buy your existing home. We don't ever have to have a client with the conundrum of possibly owning 2 homes. These are really good programs. Even the new videos that we're doing for 2025.
I'm more excited about the video than anything, I think.
Yeah, it's going to reach a lot of people, and we see the power of video more than ever. We see, watching this podcast, we see the power of podcasts. I think what we've entered into is an age where, yes, not only are people looking to go to their phones and their computers for information, but there's an entertainment factor that goes with it. So when you're marketing a home, people expect to see a quality video that entertains them while they actually see this home, because it's a lifestyle too, right? I mean, when you're picking a home to live in, you're kind of thinking about, what would it be like if I were to live there? So, a video that addresses that. So it's so much better than those terrible videos that we used to see where they display elevator music in the background going from room to room.
Some of that music was excellent.
Oh yeah, I would just fall asleep in it. But I think we can probably conclude this by saying you know, when you're on a team, we having the support that we do, and hiring especially younger people that really understand even technology more than even some of the older generation like me that didn't really grow up with computers. But having the younger people on the team, they are able to pick up the technology that much better. But what we do is we mix their ideas and how they enhance the technology, but take someone of us that are maybe a little older and understand the practical side of real estate, because we understand the relationships, right?
Yeah.
We understand that at the end of the day, this technology is great, but this is a relationship business. And so we still have to connect with the relationships, give people the advice that they need and the guidance with that relationship, but you have to use the technology with it, right?
I think it's all-encompassing value.
Right.
We need to have everything. As a single agent, it's hard to have all of the tech, maintaining your relationship. You're juggling 1,000 balls. Something has to give. I can juggle too.
Right.
Poorly. But I know that having a team, you're juggling some of them.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, all of our other agents, we're all sharing in that load. So I know that all together, we're going to be far more successful.
Yeah, it's a good analogy. We don't let any balls drop out of the air when you're working as a team. So hopefully this has been really helpful if you're watching this podcast to understand that at the end of the day, you get a whole lot more for roughly the same fee structure.
About the same, yeah.
About the same. And that kind of support bodes well for whether you're a buyer, whether you're a seller, or whether you're an agent that wants to be part of a team. And I don't know, looking into the future, if I really look far into the future, I really wonder if the individual agent is going by the way of the dinosaur.
I don't know if it'll ever go the way of the dinosaur, but I think that there's going to be a lot more teams out there, and that more people are going to aim for that connection, because we are fully based on relationships in life. Everything is based on connection. Everything is based on relationships. Our business is based on connection and relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that there is going to be more partnerships, more teams.
Well, we're seeing it.
More and more. But I don't think we're ever going to lose single agents, because there's a lot of lone dogs out there, lone wolves.
You may be a good point. There's a lot of agents that do work with past client and referral, and they do it very effectively. And maybe they're not looking to grow into a very, very big business, but they're quite comfortable servicing their existing clients. I think that's a really good point. And maybe we'll never lose that. But I think but for the team structure, it definitely is constantly growing.
Yes, for sure.
It's incredible how many teams I see that are out there, and it seems to be growing and growing all the time. So there we go. That is the pros and cons. If you had any interest in learning a little bit more about what it would be like to be on a team, or whether you're looking to hire a team to help you with buying a home or selling a home, hope this podcast has been helpful. But you can reach out to myself or Julie or anyone on my team, and we'd be happy to give you that information and give you a whole look of all the things that we actually do as part of the team, because there's a lot.
Yeah, we do obscenely large amounts of things.
All right. Thanks for watching.